think we can begin our session now, and let me just welcome you all. A very good morning to you all, and welcome to Ebc Learning. And today's webinar on Journey from a Law School to a Law Firm and the Ebc Learning CII Upskill Diploma in Advanced Corporate Law. So we have with us Saksham Agarwal, who's an associate at Trilegal, and Sukriti Bhagat, who is working as an associate at Industry Law. Welcome you both to Ebc Learning. So for the first half of this webinar, Sukriti Bhagat and Saksham will discuss their journey from a law school to a law firm. In this conversation, they'll also share their experience and the decision to choose a career in corporate law. And for the second half of the webinar, we have with us my colleague and editor at Ebc Learning, Pradyuman Purohit. He will take us through our upcoming course, that is Upskill Diploma in Advanced Corporate Law, which is starting on 15th of April. We at Ebc Learning offer both skill-based and foundational courses, which are very much rigorous and comprehensive. Our main focus is to provide both academic and skill-based training, and all our courses are very well presented with high-quality videos. And we offer all these courses as library on demand, and they're self-paced and instructor-led courses. Now, give me a moment, and I'm going to share my screen and show you our Ebc Learning Portals. So, yeah, can you all see my screen, please?
Yeah.
Yes. So this is our portal. This is our e-learning portal in which there are various courses on limited liability partnership, on the contract law essentials, and we have various modules on contract law. We have advocate on record examination course. We have filing on insolvency, insolvency essentials. We have transacting mergers and acquisitions, handling check bounces cases, GST, and we have got consumer protection law with our in-house faculty, Dr. Pratima Narayan, how to create a will, various courses and various modules on corporate law. We have got currently 5 modules on corporate law. And with this upskill course, we have more practical and more upskill training for the corporate lawyers as well, and also for the students. We have the GA course on GST. Again, the module 5, if you can see on your left, is on your right is on the winding up. Module 5, extensive course on winding up. Contract law essentials. We have got our directors and key managerial personnel. Then we have negotiable instruments and various other courses on arbitration as well. So this is basically our portal in which we not only have high quality videos, but these videos have been presented with examination pointers, with assignments, with relevant cases, and also the links to SEC online, link to SEC cases as well. And the one which we are starting on the 15th of April, and the more information and more length will be given at the end of in the second part of the webinar by our own editor, Pradyuman Purohit. This is an e-learning CIA upskill diploma in advanced corporate law. And before we go further, I think we start with your story, Sukriti and Saksham, from a law school to a law firm. So over to you first. Thank you.
So actually, funny thing, Saksham and I became friends at the same CLAT coaching that we used to go to in Jaipur. And we didn't talk for, I think, the whole year towards the end of it. When the scores finally came out, and Saksham texted me randomly and was like, "What was your score?" CLAT score. And I was like, "I don't want to tell you, and I know yours because it was in the newspapers."
I think she's being too kind. So I'll just take this up. So I went to a school called Nalsar University of Law, and then she went to a school called Jindal. Both of us were exposed to a bunch of things during our tenure there, and naturally when someone enters in their first year of law school, there's this buzz about getting into corporate law because that's what most people really want to do there. That's probably some of the best possible opportunities out there. So to tap onto that, you need to start early. You need to start preparing this slightly early. You need to start building your CV in that direction. You need to start doing courses, you need to start doing internships to sort of ensure that towards the end of your time at your law school, when you finally sitting down to, decide on or choose as to where you want to take this forward. It's a choice, and it's not something that just gets handed over to you. For it to be a choice for you, then it's a sustained effort of 4 to 5 years that you put into your law school. Personally speaking about me, for me, I initially had absolutely no intentions of getting into corporate law. Sort of despised it. But as I studied certain other sort of laws, I realized if there's one sort of key subject that works on the intersection of a business and the law, and it's sort of logical as well. It's got to be then corporate law. Its objectivity is something that drives a lot of analytical people towards it. People who are more conceptually drawn, people who are more who want to look at more larger pictures would probably want to do sort of more academic legal practices. But for me personally, I wanted to do something that's a lot more objective, and hence corporate law. So I started interning early on. I started interning in actually my first semester itself. So and then built it up from there to finally get an offer from multiple law firms on day zero from Nalsar, and then finally ended up choosing Khaitan and Company. I was with Khaitan and Company for a while before this, and I've recently made the switch to work with the general corporate team at Trilegal.
I actually would diverge with the point on like larger, like you said, people who want to pursue larger academic concepts would pursue something else and not corporate law. For me, I think I had a very different experience insofar as while I really enjoyed the objectivity of corporate law, and I realized that I enjoyed that through the courses that I got to take in my law school, or courses such as the one the EBC is sort of offering, and my internships. I also took this really interesting course, which was called Reconfiguring Corporate Laws, and that sort of let me um, also gain the perspective that even within corporate law, there are so many other things to look at. There are so many other lenses through which you can view corporate law, and you can actually sort of have that larger, concept-based study there as well, which was very fascinating to me.
The point being, Sukriti, can you talk about, let's say, your initial journey? I mean, you are a first year student in a law school, and people around. So, what was your take on it? And there are people. So, I've been to law school, and from very day first, you have your friends who want to why you have you're coming to the law school, and everyone wants to, or at least most of them wants to become a corporate lawyer. So from that curiosity, because the first day of law school, it's merely a curiosity, and how from that curiosity to where you are today, working as one of the top law firms in India, how did that materialize? So can you talk about that journey, and then over to Saksham over the similar journey? Although you did talk about, but what were the processes? I mean, by which semester, even if, let's say, Saksham, you were interning from the very first semester, right? What sort of a challenge was it? Because, pretty much you hardly know anything about the laws, maybe just tort law, and knowing just tort law and some basics of contract wouldn't cut it, right? So how did you cope up? What did you do, etc.? So now I'll let Sukriti answer this first, and then I'll over to Saksham.
Yeah, so actually, in my first semester, I wasn't really curious about corporate law at all whatsoever. And my first, I think, 4 or 5 internships were completely litigation based. And whenever there were people around who would be, having conversations around corporate laws or uh, anything of that sort, the jargon, right, the language seemed very intimidating to me. And because just from the outside it seemed so intimidating, initially I thought that I would never be interested in it. I would never have that curiosity towards corporate law. And so hence pursuing the litigation based internships, right? But I think sometime in my third year, I think second semester, I took up this very interesting course, which was around securities regulations. And in that class, the intellectual stimulation of that class, just going through, like, studying those laws, and we actually had to we ended up making a DRHP for one of the assignments, and it was a 3-person job. And the sort of like spark I felt doing that course, that assignment, the curiosity that it made me feel, and that jargon and those sort of things that overwhelmed me, that intimidated me, just melted away, because I realized they're just words at the end of the day. And once you understand that concept, it's really, really easy to, sort of grasp it and then work from there. So that's where I think my curiosity sparked in that course. And for me personally, I realized that now it is going to be a journey where, like Saksham said, that you have to carefully, like, curate your CV, the things you do to gain those skills, to learn uh, more things about corporate law, was through actually taking up a lot of courses, whether that was in college, whether that was through other platforms. And that was really, really helpful in even landing the internships that I ended up landing, right? Because learning about these things in courses, especially courses that allow for practical learning of practical aspects of corporate law, right? That really helped with internships specifically, which is where they see how you work, they assess you, and which ultimately sort of turns into a job offer or a PPO, whichever. So I think that's how it went for me. Over to Saksham.
Yeah. I did start interning in my first semester. But in all honesty, that was like for my first at least 3 or 4 internships. So I had a habit of interning in almost every vacation that I'd gotten. And so in my first semester, I interned with an NGO called PUCL. In my second semester, I started interning with a publication house called the Indian Express. Then I interned with some district court lawyers. I interned with a bunch of places to finally figure out that, yeah, fine, these are all things that I don't want to do. And eventually, in my third year, so this would be in the middle of my third year, is when I landed an internship with Mr. Desai and Associates. And that, I believe, was an inflection point in terms of me having seen firsthand what's it like to sit in one of these firms and help your clients get through massive transactions. So for me, driving factor wasn't unlike Sukriti. Like she wants to gain knowledge and get intellectually stimulated. That was not my motivation at all. It was the scale that impressed me. It was the scale at which you're doing things that sort of gives you this drive to bring your best in. Because I mean, it's going to get tiring. It's going to get extremely difficult for you. So if there's one thing that can keep you going, it's only the fact that you know what you're doing is large. If I get through, my work product makes headlines in quite a lot of pink papers, and that's a satisfaction that you get to sleep with, and that's what impressed me, and that's what inspired me to work towards getting there. How did I get there? Is so my first internship with NDA ended up pretty well. I got a good glance of what's happening in this space. Then I started interning with another law firm called Shaldur Amalchand in New Delhi the next semester. And then I followed it up with a callback internship with them. That, although didn't result in a PPO offer, but that sort of set me up for a good uh, base to sit down on my day zero, tell them that these are kind of things that I've done. You need to essentially, like Sukriti said, from courses you learn a lot of things about practical aspects of things. So that's one way to learn about these practical aspects, and the other way is to now land into internships which will teach you these practical aspects. That being said, I understand that given the kind of competition that the space offers currently, it might get difficult to directly land those opportunities to get these practical aspects. And for that, one thing that I used to do personally was to write to a bunch of people on, let's say, LinkedIn or email, find out their email somehow, and take genuine true interest in the kind of work that they're doing. So let's say if in case I'm writing to a capital markets partner, I'd write a bit about the kind of deals that I've seen he's done, the kind of intricacies that he really looks out for, and then just be curious about learning new things. Just be curious about, knowing that this is what I want to do. And if I keep on putting in the work day in and day out on learning things, then I think it should be pretty easy.
I think just quickly adding on to that, even sort of the literature, the articles that partners or even senior associates, principal level associates write, and honestly, reading them keeps you updated with what's happening in the corporate world, but it also really helps when you're writing to them or when you're applying to them and you have read something that they have written about, because obviously they're writing about it because they're interested in it, and you having read it, you mentioning it, the transactions or these articles is something really small but can really have that impact. So yeah.
Also, like another thing is that, what you did sort of touch upon it, that, during your law school, taking either courses or landing up those internships was the key driving factor. But there may be like some of the students or some of the, recent graduates that have joined, or maybe you guys had an advantage because of, let's say, from Jindal and Saksham from Nalsar. So sometimes, do you think that in terms of your colleagues that you are working with or the people that you interned with, do you think that the kind of law school where you come from that matter? And if it does matter, what steps they should take themselves to, let's say, upskill, or what are the things that they should to do in their respective law schools or while they are students, right? Or let's say if someone has been recently graduated and looking for the best opportunity and trying to hustle and find out, or have joined or working with a senior in the nearby court in their respective cities, and they're dreaming big about the tier one law firms, right? So what exactly they do? I mean, it's obvious, right, that one of the stepping stones can be taking this course, but do you think that they have to mentally prepare something? What sort of efforts they need to put in? Is it a frame of mind or a particular way you are thinking about it? Is that also make some psychological preparation? Yeah.
So
Anyway.
just quickly taking up the what kind of law school thing. I think in the larger picture, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because what will matter is who you are, what skills you've developed, and how passionate or interested you are, in your job and learning more about it. I personally believe that. Having said that, I can't discount the fact that yes, at the entry level, there are certain firms, rather certain people who do prefer specific types of law schools, NLUs being one of those categories, or maybe even say Jindal or whichever. Yes, that is there. It's not. I would not say that it's there throughout. It's not like all law firms, all partners are doing that. But I feel like beyond a certain point, it really doesn't matter. Because, I mean, the team that I'm working in, honestly, nobody out of the 15 people, including the partners, is from an NLU, I think. Yeah, nobody's from an NLU. And so when, especially you come out of law school, you get a job, you work for a few months, maybe even a few years, and you look back in hindsight, you can see that while it might have been like a small factor at that one point, in the longer race, I don't think it really matters. So that's what I think about that. The other bit, as regards the mindset, look, it's a very stressful job for sure. That's something that we've been told, that we experience as well in our internships, but we fully realize the weight of it when we join our jobs. So, I mean, that sort of mindset has to be there, that there will be extremely tedious working hours. There will be stressful situations that we will just have to pull through. That hustle mindset definitely needs to be there, because without it, I don't think it's easy to survive in a tier one or generally like a legal world scenario. I mean, I see even my litigation friends working so many hours, putting in so much work through so much stress. So I think that definitely is a very important aspect that everyone needs to consider. And approach wise, like I personally think that depends personally, like it's subjective. How you deal with the stress, how you pull through in that moment, I believe is subjective. For me, negative motivation doesn't work at all. For me, like positive reinforcement is something that really works. So I would tell myself that, okay, if I pull through this, I will, treat myself to XYZ, whatever I like. So that plus, getting that sort of appreciation from your team members, from your partner, that at least for me really, really works. That acts as a great, motivation. Over to you, Saksham.
Yeah, I think I'll just chime in. So, okay, so like Sukriti said, it really doesn't matter, and I can't emphasize enough on that. But it's very easy for me to sit here and say that, it really doesn't matter. But in all honesty, life is so much easier for you if you are from a particular kind of schools, at least to get in, as compared to it is for you if you're not from those schools. And I think everyone smart enough to watch this webinar would know what those schools are. That being said, it is absolutely untrue, and there is no shred of doubt that I have in the fact that absolutely everybody from any law school in this country can make it to any of the tier one firms if they're worth the money. Now, how do you become worth your money before even graduating is the real meat of the question, right? And that's something that you do by one, like I said, interning extensively. So I understand if you're not from an Nalsar, NLS, NLU, GNLU, or Jindal or Symbiosis, it's difficult to land tier one internship opportunities as well. What do? You start interning tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 firms. You intern there a couple of times, then you move up your ladder. So what do you have to give up for that? All your vacations, you got to intern. So you got to, how do you intern is another topic in itself altogether, that you go there, you prove that you're sincere, you try and make connections there, you get a recommendation from someone in a tier 4 who has a friend in a tier 3, so that you do an internship tier 3 next time, and then you keep on moving up your ladder, and then eventually by your 3rd or 4th year you'd be in a position to have a couple of tier 1 internships on your resume. And if you are interning in a tier 1, you have as good a chance as absolutely anybody to land that job regardless of your school. So the barrier is only on your entry. Beyond that, really no one's concerned about which school are you coming from. That being said, like your second part of the question, which is there is a mental blockage that you have as to, oh, I am from an XYZ school and hence probably this is not my place. And like I said, it is just that. It is only a mental barrier in only and only your head, because whosoever you're working with, whoever's assessing you, world outside has moved on from this. People from top tier law schools are the only sort of eligible people. If anything, sometimes it works against a lot of people from the top tier law schools for all of these jobs, because of how much these people would be a result of, like, would just leave the firm pretty early on because of the ample number of opportunities that they have to sort of pursue opportunities out of the country or out of this field itself, right? So that way, the only skill that you need to show them is your sincerity, and second is that you have some sort of familiarity with what's going on. So internships is one good way to show that familiarity. The other good way is that do take up some other vocation courses. Let's say I know a person who's taken up CS early on. So this person didn't land up in a grade school. He started pursuing CS. By the end of his fourth year, he was a company secretary. Now, a company secretary plus an LLB is a much better qualification to then show your credentials for. That way you can say that, probably I didn't do that well at an entry level, but I did pull up my socks and put in the work that was required to get the job done, right? So you just need to, or let's say the kind of courses that ECB is offering for that matter, right? You take these courses, maybe their skill is not going to be directly used in the kind of work that you do on your day 1 or day 5 or day 10. What it does to a third person assessing you is that it shows that you had the motivation and the will to be doing this instead of absolutely doing 5,000 different things that you could have been doing with your time. And this just shows that you wanted to get into this space this bad. Because honestly, this is not easy. This is not something that you would enjoy per se. Like, I will not lie to you. Nobody enjoys studying. If someone's telling you that they're enjoying that, they're most probably lying. Or I've gotten this all wrong. Either ways. But because it's tough, it just goes on to show that you wanted to do it. It just shows that you're willing to put in the work that's required, and that's really all that matters.
Yeah, on that note, Saksham, and again, the question is to both of you in that particular. See, for example, when you were interning, or let's say, Saksham, you got what made the difference for you to, and two parts to the question, what's the difference that made that you get a call back from Sam once you have interned, and then, that process happened. Similarly, that the time when you were interning, what sort of work that you were getting from your associates at that time, and how were you ridiculously failing at doing it? Of course, doing it as well, but those failures. So can you just anecdotally tell us about those things? And the second question would be that how is it different now with you having your own interns to delegate some work with? And how are you like to train them, or you expect them the kind of work that you're having? Because a lot of places, and even if not so, like in a tier 1 firm, and it also happens in tier 1 firm, that generally scut work is given, which is just go and find the judgments and come back to us, right? Which is pretty much you're also doing in a law school where you're writing your term papers and whatever you are doing, right? So can you both of us shed that light in any order? You can pick up your microphone and go ahead.
I'll take this up first. So the kind of work that I was getting at my internships, I'll tell you what. And this is the reality of the matter. I'd not sugarcoat things. When I was an intern, I have photocopied material for my partners and for the associates. I have put in stick notes to, let's say, when I'm working in a disputes team. I have researched on case laws, and mind you, that is probably one of the quality works that you get as both an intern or an associate at a law firm. Two, directly advising my partner on a strategy advice that the partner is going to give, and he's somehow looped you in, and you are directly in conversation with your partner and helping him craft that advice, both in terms of the strategy and also in terms of the kind of backing laws. So he's really interested in your opinion as well. So I've, like I told you, most of the times it would be the other end of the spectrum, but if you get that other end of the spectrum really, really right, I can tell you for sure that you will get the kind of work that you really want to do and that an associate gets to do. But you need to understand that you are there with a almost minimal selection process. All that they've seen is your CV. Most often than not, you're not even interviewed for an internship position. So you haven't really established your credentials. So initially, you get the work that nobody really wants to do, right? Once you do that work really well, once you do that photocopy squeaky clean and don't miss anything, is when you start to get to put those sticky notes. And once you do that well, is when you start to get to find your case laws. And once you start finding case laws really well, is when someone realizes, oh, this is a waste of resource. This person's clearly smart. This person's clearly reliable. Why not give him better work than this? It's only like it's a cost utility analysis for them as well, right? Like if there's someone sitting around, he can do your work, why not pawn it off, right? It's not something that they would generally do out of the goodness of their heart. They're doing it because it makes their life easier. You wouldn't get that work most often than not. Like mostly you would not get that work on day one because it's a headache for them as well, right? I don't know. I am working on a deadline that I have to send out this deliverable by 12 p.m. tonight. 12 a.m. tonight. And then if in case I give it to an intern thinking, okay, yeah, fine, why not? Why don't he do it? And if in case he messes up at 10 p.m., I am out there holding nothing in my hand for it to be shown to the client, right? So I will only start trusting someone once they have shown enough proof for that trust to be given to them. That being said, now that I am on the other side of the fence, I do pawn off, like I follow the exact same procedure even now. I give off something like, let's say, pull out these MCA filings, find this case law for me. And let's say I'm working with 5 interns in over a month. I remember, yeah, fine, this particular person found these really amazing cases, had a good insight on things, and has shown that he's diligent and is at least reliable. Is when, let's say, I have a challenging question, I want a second opinion on from someone. I've looped some interns in to say, hey, I'm thinking this way, what do you think? Do you have any thoughts on things? And that, I think, is, for me personally, that used to be the most satisfying kind of work that I got as an intern. And the kind of feedback that I get from my interns as well is that they also particularly enjoy that particular kind of work, right? So like I said, don't think on your day 1 or day 10 when you get something that you don't want, think that why should a lawyer do it, right? Like eventually it all boils down to, why should someone who has studied the contracts law, I have aced so much, I have done so well in my school, and I'm coming here and doing this. Don't let that mindset hold you back, because honestly, start understanding what your position in the food chain is. And this is a pretty, like, someone's got to do that work, right? And if it is not you, then the associate will itself do this work. Most often than not, I have to do that work myself, right? If I have someone to help me with it, please help me with it. And then possibly this will end up in you getting better work, you get learning a lot more. That's how you build your credentials. So that's my take on it. Quite a lot of people believe otherwise. So yeah, I think Sukriti would be able to better complement.
So I mean, yeah, I would agree that even at my internships, so I remember this particular internship, where I was working with both the corporate as well as the litigation team. And that day, some filing in the court had to be made. And there was like 1,500 pages kept there. And my associate goes like, can you number them? I was like, this bunch? She was like, yeah, can you sit down and number them? So I spent my entire evening like numbering those pages because that filing had to be made. And then once I was done, she comes back and she was like, oh, you also had to add something like this one signature sort of this thing on the page. Now do that as well. I'm like, again, throughout all 1,500. And she's like, yeah, and do it quickly. So that definitely is there in the sticky notes thing, in the photocopying. God. All of that is definitely there. But yeah, like Saksham said, it so happens that they first give you like the most basic, the most, grunt work to see that, you can get this right. Because honestly, and I was honestly surprised to see this, a considerable number of people can't get like even the grunt work right. Okay. And in that situation, you realize that if I can't even trust this other person to do this simple a job, this mechanical a job, I shouldn't call it simple, then how do I give them more substantive work, right? How do I, trust them to maybe help me out with the due diligence or help me out with, reviewing a transaction document? I can't. So that obviously it starts from like that one small task, which might be very mechanical, very tedious, but it builds that trust. And, as you go forth and they see, okay, you're trustworthy, you're dedicated, you're eager to work, no matter what kind of work, they will slowly but surely start engaging you in more substantial work. And so I remember telling someone this few days ago that, the moment an associate or somebody in the team recognizes that an intern is doing well, they start to rely on them more. A, because convenience. B, also, I mean, personally for me, I feel like there is so much we can give to them because we wanted so much from our associates when we were interning. We wanted them to show us the ropes. So, why not return the favor? Right? And an internship, even though mostly just a month long, stint, it can be such a crucial thing, and it has been for me in terms of learning, in terms of knowing more about like how the corporate world works. So that definitely, I mean, as an intern, I've done all of that and then been trusted more and more, given more work. And now that I'm on this side of the things, especially in a virtual setting, I do find it extremely difficult to sort of share more substantive or more, work that takes a lot of time, etc., with the interns. But here the drill is the same, the exact same, that, it starts with something small. It starts with maybe proof this document for me, or just pull out a couple of cases, or, just go to MCA and download a couple of files about this company. And so once this person, whoever is there on the other end, is able to, turn that out in a good enough time period with a good enough output, you're like, okay, this is a person I can trust. And so you start relying on them more. So for me, I believe, like, obviously we give them work out of convenience, the interns, but I personally also really like to sort of have a conversation with them, explain them what it is that they're doing, and not simply give an isolated task ki, हाँ, ये कर देना, इसका आगे पीछे क्या है, it doesn't matter to you. Maybe in that moment it doesn't, and maybe for them to take out a couple of details from the MCA, it doesn't. But I think for them to have that context, to have that learning, it really matters. And so if I have those couple of extra minutes, which I sometimes do, I do take that time out and sort of, try to build that bridge.
Right. Anything else that Saksham, Sukriti, you mutually want to talk about and which I perhaps forgot to ask before I go on to, let's say, answer all these queries and all these hopelessness at times that we have figured that, the entry level is getting sometimes difficult, or the work is there, and how do you make yourself count? So there's a lot of factors, and we at EBC Learning, with this EBC Learning and Confederation of Indian Industries, CII, upskill diploma course on advanced corporate law, have tried to address these issues. So this webinar was particularly for engaging everyone to see these issues exist, and people have been facing this, and people have been facing these issues for, I guess, eternity, as I see. Right, that these and then people are going on various webinars and pointing out these issues. And for once, we decided that, okay, this all should put to rest, and can we like have a course where we can say it's not important that you come from a particular law school. It's a course where we have law firms partnering with us. They are the internship and placement partners with us, so that, you do get that entry. So we do, once you do our course, you will have that extra push, which is not present if you're not in a, top law school, right? We also come up with a lot of care, as Sukriti mentioned, that constantly having that communication beyond only 20 people per cohort, right, in a very small setting. Sukriti is also going to take one of the sessions out of the 75 plus live sessions that we are going to conduct. So before I actually formally introduce you and show you around the course, just anything that both of you wanted to add, or should I go to the course first and then would you like to add more at the end so that you can have that thinking time before you want to speak something? Which way you would suit you?
Actually, can we maybe take a couple of questions if these
Right.
guys have specific?
That's what I was
that
also
can be done.
correct. So anyone has any questions for Sukriti and Sakshan, please go ahead. You can unmute yourself and ask your questions, please. Thank you. I think we don't have any questions for you, Sukriti.
No questions?
Yeah.
Ideally, there should be like questions, and now there's something that we all as humans don't know many things, and an advice that I used to like I've got from my great grandfather, just transformed over generations, was that it was a simple line which said, "If you don't know, you ask." Okay, so if
Actually, this really works in the office job scenario as well. If you don't know, you ask.
yeah,
Very
if you don't know,
important
you ask.
advice.
But if someone is getting a little conscious, you can always contact us on emails. You have details, and Sukriti and Saksham's details. You can reach out to them. You can reach out to EBC Learning and others. So I think I should I'll share my screen for everyone and show you, as Dr. Achal has already has shown you the EBC Learning platform. And I'm going to introduce you to the EBC Learning CII Upskill Diploma on Advanced Corporate Law. So just give me a second. Yeah, is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes.
Is it visible? Right. So this is where you land up when you put ebclearning.com/courses, or just ebclearning.com, and you click it on library. You just go view all, and this would bring you to this browse courses page. And we do have a lot of self-paced courses, as Dr. Achal introduced, for example, how to create a will, transacting mergers and acquisition. And now I'm introducing the mother of all courses that we have developed. It's a 6-month long course, which is called EBC Learning CII Upskill Diploma in Advanced Corporate Law. And this is the course page. You would find the link you can access from there, or I'll just put it, or Dr. Achal can just put this link in the chat box so that you can open.
Sure.
So this is the course that we are talking about, and as of now, we'll be starting from 15th of April. So the two things that stand out about this course is the rigorous, how the course has been designed. It's not the course where you enroll and we simply teach you and you go home and you know things, right? It's a course where you know things by doing it, right? It's a course where we have put together a brilliant team. And we have somewhere over 26 instructors coming, working at top law firms. We have people from Shardul Amarchand, we have people from Sukriti from Indus Law, we have, people coming from AZB and delivering. And we have a very dedicated also team from FinVox, taking care of the financial literacy part of things, right? Understanding the book accounts, financial statements, etc. And there's no need to think about that this course is only meant for someone who is a law student right now or just a recent graduate. The course is, curated in such a way that we take you from the levels where you need, the understanding of the knowledge of the law is there. And from the knowledge of the law, we look at the litigation aspects of it, and then also the practical aspect of it. So it's a complete course where, things would be delivered, and everything would be quantified based on the learning outcomes and the assignments that would be given to you almost at every end of every class, right? And the classes would be in the evening, and it's a completely online course. You can attend it. So just look at, broad features apart from it being comprehensive and rigorous. And so it's sort of an umbrella course which is looking at different facets of corporate law. So and that includes, some of the basics that are very important. For example, contract drafting is very important, and then insolvency law, competition law. So it's not like we're just sort of covering competition law. We have an added module on competition economics, because in order to give a sound advice or even to practice, you would need that sort of an added, understanding, right? A section on mergers and acquisition, right? And the great thing about this course is that you had access to a lot of material that you can do from the EBC universe. That means you'll have access to, somewhere around, more than 500, 600 video modules, small click modules, which are the self-paced courses, which are already there on the EBC Learning platform. So you'll have access to those courses. You'll also have an access to more than 100 cases from SEC Online, the important cases which are there, more than 15 plus ebooks that are available on EBC Reader. So you'll also have an access to those books. And the good thing about is that some of the authors of those books are also teaching this course, right? So you can see, so for example, Tarun Mathur's book on merger controls, everyone across the industries refer them, and he's also one of the person who's going to, take the module on transacting mergers and acquisitions. So, so you'll have that exposure with the best who have, contributed a lot to the field and people look up to. So this is the page. If you can see, as of now till 15th of March, there is an early bird offer. So, and the seats are filling fast. So please, we have a cap we can cater to, and we are really, really trying to keep it a very, very small group so that there is an individual attention paid to everyone. And as you see that these are the self-paced modules that will available to you. So that's where you access your live courses, your classes. And these are the video modules that are available, that is contract law, law of agency, contract drafting, law of partnerships, LLPs, due diligence essentials, right? And then the 5 modules on company law that you understand it, insolvency essentials, important case laws, how to file an insolvency petition, corporate asset valuation under IBC regime, economics and competition law, and mergers and acquisitions. So you can access this page from the link that is given here and enter your details. If you want a call back, you want more explanation about the course, our team would help you to decide upon. And these are the books that are available for your reading and understanding from EBC. Apart from that, we'll have some interactive panels, games, etc., to make it more fun, engaging, and people are working together in teams, right? And we have this complete list of instructors, Dr. Anchal, myself, Sukriti was also a part of the course, right? For example, we have Arman Patkar, is one of the most serious works on insider trading has been done by him. And there's also a book from EBC by Arman, and Arman himself will be taking the session on insider trading. So it's a course where you are not only told what the law is, but also making you understand what are the compliances, what are the strategical things that happen. Maybe you'll not get that work, but just being exposed to the kind of work that happens in the law firm, even before if you have interned, right? That is going to make a difference. And all our assignments that are there are based on the learning outcomes. So if a particular class is just about the knowledge of the law, you'll, test it on it. The classes on due diligence, let's say classes on corporate fraud, we have an assignment where you will be able to mark the flags, go through a bulkier document, and then try to figure out, okay, this is what has happened, right? And you'll be divided in different teams, and the mentors and the coaches will be there all the time. So there's a lot of mock simulation that is also part of the course, and that would help that because we don't want wherever you are interning or wherever you get placement out of this course that you do, and some of them have already committed to us for the internships and the placement that they will give you a first preference, or at least they'll take you for an interview, right? And these list is continuing. We have been contacting with 7 to 8 firms now. We are still adding more and more. And many of the firms have also, for example, we also had word with many top law firms, and they'll be joining soon, right? And you will have that opportunity to intern there, or even give your CV with the credentials that you've done this EBC Learning CII Upskill Diploma course in Advanced Corporate Law. And that would really demonstrate you, because it's a 6-month course which tests you in all particular fashion. You've got the best of the people coming, teaching you and coaching you and how to go about it. So I'd request, just enroll, take it up, or share it with your friends, and share with as many people as possible who you think really want this course, right? And it's not just the law students. Even if you are a CA, a CS, or even if you have your own startup, or whosoever is able to take it would bring immense value, because then, even if you are, don't come from the, law background, will have like a foundation class in the beginning, would make you understand the jargons, would make you understand how you go about it. So it's an all season course for everyone, and it's quite an advanced level course for sure. And that is really going to, help everyone. And we have kept the bar very high. I mean, you really need to score 75% or something, really be a very distinction in it. You should get distinction in it to have this diploma with you, because then only you are, familiar with things, and then can, make it big. So you can look at this page of ours. The detailed schedule and the examination and assessment criteria are also sort of listed. So you have over 70 classes that we will conduct over a particular period of time. So you can go through the classes, all classes where we take you from the basic to the actual doing things, right? So for example, here we're talking about structuring of investments, the exit methods, the financial due diligence, going over auditors' deliverables, right? Corporate restructuring. So all in all, like if you look at the course, it's the most comprehensive course on corporate law we were able to put together. And then perhaps after this course, you can find your own niche area, right? That, okay, I'm more interested towards, more interested towards competition law practice. So you'll try to figure it out. Okay, that's what I want to do. Or after a while, you'll figure out that, okay, yes, insolvency, practice is something that I'm interested in, or capital markets is something I'm interested in, or, transactions is something that I'm interested in. So everyone would find their niche eventually. But we are trying to put together in 6 months a very, very comprehensive course. And it's not just only these classes. We'll be having a lot of webinars in between as well on the subject matter, only for the people who have attended the course. So there are a lot of guest lectures that come in, and each class is just an hour and a half in the evening, in a very convenient way in the online mode. So and these and then this course, what we are actually looking at is to hope to answer most of the queries, or most of the jitters that people have thinking about that, oh, how will I make it big, or how will I get there? There are so many entry barriers, or I don't have the requisite skill to demonstrate when I'm facing an interview at a law firm, even if I get that call from the law firm. So we're taking those important barriers in mind, and taking it away from your chest, because we're providing this course. You are getting access to many law firms where you have this sort of, so that entry barrier is taken care of.
I'm in a meeting.
You are in the first in line. Yeah, Dr. Anju. Saying something? Okay.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So So I guess I've explained enough, and a lot of concerns that you might have, and over the time we have heard from a lot of students, a lot of people who are also in the law firms, because nobody wants sometimes, for example, now Saksham and Sukriti were also saying that if you're good at your scut work, it's fine, right? But if you have this course, you already know a lot. You already know how some of the compliances are done, or some of the things that actually happen. So that exposure would help you climb way, way faster than anyone else. So please check it out, forward it, share it as much as to the people who really need it. And I request everyone to enroll fast because seats are filling up. Right. Anything else that Saksham and Sukriti, do you want to talk about the course, or anything else that you could think of, or any other questions regarding the course? We can take that as well.
I think just at least from my side, I will be looking to see all of you in the course if you join in the class that I will be taking. And if there is anything that you ever wish to, ask or talk about, feel free to reach out. My credentials are, I think, made available. Otherwise, just hit me up on LinkedIn or something, and I'll always be available for a chat.
I think that's how I'd like to sign off. All the best, everybody, whoever takes this course or not. I hope that you guys do well, and just keep at it. I think it'll all work out, regardless of wherever you are. It'll just work out. Just keep at it.
Right. On that positive note, I'll hand it over to Dr. Anshul to conclude.
Thank you, Pradhiman. Thank you, Pradhiman. And thank you, Sukriti and Saksham. And thank you, Pradhiman, again for taking us through our upcoming course on Upskill Diploma in Advanced Corporate Law. This course definitely, as you have explained, it elaborates on critical, and practical training in corporate law, which is very, very essential and important in today's corporate world. And we at Ebc Learning do promise our sessions would not only be informative, but highly interactive and engaging. So do let us know if you want to join and take up this course with us. And thank you, Saksham and Sukriti. You both have an inspiring story, and thanks for sharing your journey with us. I would say curiosity and passion, I think, for learning is the mantra for anything we want to achieve. And Sukriti, can't agree more here when you said encouragement and motivation is equally important wherever you are focused and you're working hard. And thank you. And Saksham, great inputs. Really appreciate all the needful practical advice you gave to our audience. I'm sure all our aspirants are benefited with your experience. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Sukriti, again. Thank you, Saksham. And thank you, Pradhiman. You all have a great weekend. Thank you all for joining. Thank you. See you again. On Monday, we are having another webinar. So we are hoping to see you all again there. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for having us.